Good morning, boys and girls. So today's read aloud is going to be Pinocchio. Okay. The name of the author is Esther Tome, and the illustrator is Luna Scortecagna. Alrighty. So while we're reading this story, I really want you to be thinking about our five-finger retell. Our five-finger retell is the main idea, the theme, or the lesson that the author wants us to learn from this story. We have here the setting. When and where did this story take place? The characters. Who are the characters that are in this story? The problem. What is the problem in this story? The events. What happened beginning, what happened in the middle, and what happened in the end of the story? And last, our solution. How did the problem get resolved? Okay, so be thinking about that while we're reading this story. Pinocchio. Once upon a time, in a country far away, there lived a carpenter called Geppetto. He had a kind heart and desperately wanted a child. One day in his workshop, he found a small piece of wood and decided to carve a little puppet. When he had carved the wood and was just putting the final touches on the puppet's face, he heard someone speak. Ouch! That hurts! The puppet began to talk and move. He was alive. Geppetto decided to name him Pinocchio. Pinocchio was a very active puppet. He liked to run and jump, and he filled the house with joy. Sometimes he was a naughty boy. One day, when he was really being particularly naughty, Pinocchio heard a chirping. You shouldn't do that. Your father will be upset. He turned around and saw a wise talking cricket, but instead of listening, he continued to misbehave. Kindly, Geppetto loved the puppet, but he was worried about how mischievous Pinocchio was. I'm going to send you to school where you can learn to behave properly. Geppetto sold his own jacket to buy Pinocchio's school book. But Pinocchio wasn't happy. I don't want to go to school. I like to run around and chase butterflies. He took the book and set off on foot. On the way to school, Pinocchio came upon a marionette theater. Curious, he decided to sell his book to buy a ticket. When the marionettes saw him, they began to shout, Run away, puppet! Run away! The puppet master didn't like all the commotion in his theater. He grabbed Pinocchio and started to throw him out. But then he had a change of heart. You're not even good for kindling. I feel sorry for you. Take these 5 gold coins and get out of here. Pinocchio ran away, but on the road he met 2 strange characters, a cat and a fox. What lovely gold coins! Give them to us, puppet. We'll plant them in the field of miracles. A money tree will grow and you'll be rich. Pinocchio was fooled by their promises, and they stole his coins and tied him to a tree so he couldn't chase them. A young woman with blue hair approached Pinocchio. What beautiful hair, Pinocchio exclaimed. The young woman, the blue fairy, recited a spell and got him untied from the tree. What were you doing up there? She asked. Pinocchio didn't want to admit the truth, and each time he told a lie, his nose grew. Pinocchio, behave yourself, the blue fairy said. Pinocchio knew he should tell the judge his story and get his coins back. But instead, he kept telling lies. He was sent to prison. Meanwhile, Geppetto was very worried about Pinocchio and went looking for him all over town. When Pinocchio didn't come home, Geppetto built a rowboat and set out to sea to search for him. Pinocchio was released from prison and went home, but Geppetto wasn't there. The poor puppet burst into tears and promised to be good and go to school. He couldn't keep his promise, though. He met a lazy boy with bad manners who convinced him to travel to the land of toys. The land of toys was so much fun, and Pinocchio played all day and didn't have to work. But then something strange occurred. Hee haw! What happened to Pinocchio's ears? And where did he get that tail? Pinocchio turned into a donkey and was sold to the circus. While putting on a show, he fell and hurt himself. What would happen now? Pinocchio was no longer of any use to the circus, so he was thrown into the sea. Luckily, the blue fairy sent some fish to free him from his donkey harness and turn him back into a puppet. Pinocchio tried to swim to the surface, but something scared him. A whale. The puppet swam as fast as he could, but he couldn't escape the whale. The whale ate Pinocchio and he went right into its stomach. But who else was there? Pinocchio had found his father, Geppetto, and when night fell and the whale was sleeping with its mouth hanging open, the two of them escaped. Pinocchio and Geppetto went home, tired from their adventures. Pinocchio had changed and he began to study hard and help his father around the house. When the blue fairy saw that Pinocchio had finally learned his lesson, she rewarded him by turning Geppetto's hut into a beautiful house, gave them both new clothes, and best of all, she turned Pinocchio into a real boy. The end. What a fun story, boys and girls. Okay, so now I want you to think about our five-finger retell. And I want you to think about it. And if there's someone around near you that you can talk to about it, I want you to tell them about that. Tell them what maybe the main idea, the theme, or the lesson of this story was. Okay, remind them or yourself where and when this story took place, who the characters were, what the problem was, what the beginning, middle, and end were, and how the problem was solved.
Okay, first graders, this is what your homework is going to be. I need somebody to send me a video of you answering these questions. Number 1, what is the message of the story? Number 2, who are the characters in the story? Number 3, what is the problem in the story? Number 4, what was the solution to the problem? This is how you can answer. You could say, number 1, the message of the story is. Number 2, the characters in the story are. Number 3, the problem in the story was. And the last question you could say, the solution to the problem was. Okay, so I didn't give you the answer because I want you to fill it in with your answer. So please record yourself. Or if you can't record yourself, you can have somebody send it to me through text message or through a message on Class Dojo with all those answers, okay? Thank you. Hola alumnos, aquí está Miss Mendoza y esta es la tarea para entregar mañana. Envíame un video, por favor, de ti respondiendo a estas preguntas. Número 1. ¿Cuál es el mensaje del cuento? Número 2. ¿Quiénes son los personajes del cuento? Número 3. ¿Cuál es el problema en el cuento? Y número 4. ¿Cómo se solucionó el problema? ¿Ok? Por favor, mándame un video o si no, me puede mandar un mensaje por texto con respondiendo estas preguntas. Bueno, muchas gracias.